Welcome back to The Joy of Vinyl. I'm Rick Coste. You know, every once in a while on this show, I dip into a topic that I know is going to upset some folks. And that's inevitable when talking about high-end audio. You can't completely play it safe, otherwise the channel would be, well, it would be boring. Now, I launched the channel as much to learn as to share what I learn on my audio journey. And sometimes what I learn goes completely against what I previously believed. It can be a tough pill to swallow, but not so difficult when you keep an open mind to opinions and what other people have to say. So, here we go. I've always heard that new old stock tubes, or NOS tubes, are better or more desirable than new production tubes. I no longer believe that. Yes, I said it out loud. A year ago, I might have said differently. 90% of the time, when researching tubes, you will hear over and over that the preferred way to go is new old stock. I should clarify, new old stock simply means that the tubes were made decades ago but have never been used, often in the same packaging. In the decades since, many of the old manufacturers stopped producing tubes, so enthusiasts and musicians have been buying them all up. Now, what's left are extremely expensive and sometimes hard to find. There are some great sellers of new old stock out there whom are trustworthy and really know their stuff. Brent Jesse comes to mind. I've purchased a few tubes from him in the past. So today, many of the new production tubes are made out of Russia and also China. There are exceptions to this. Sophia tubes are, I think, made in the US, and JJ tubes, I believe, are made in the Slovak Republic. But for the most part, when you see new production tubes with famous names like Mullard or Gold Lion, those tubes are from Russia and are reproductions of the Mullard and Genelex tubes from back in the day, Mullard being British. So I'm not going to go into all the different kinds of tubes, where they're made and who makes them. If you care, you can just reach out and I'll be happy to tell you. I love talking about them. I'm also not going to compare Mullard to Gold Lion or whether Telefunken is better than RCA. I want to try to save you some money, so that's what we're going to talk about today. So back to the premise, new old stock or new production. Right now I have a combination of both. My phono preamp has two new production Mullard tubes and a new old stock RCA 5751. In my Galleon TS120, I have four new production Mullard KT88s, two new old stock Telefunkens, and two new old stock Mullards. So why the mix? Because when I first got into tubes and tube rolling, I searched for new old stock tubes only. But it gets expensive. For example, I paid upwards of, I want to say, $200 for the matched pair of Mullard 12AX7s. The new production Mullard reproductions of the same tube, if I were to buy a matched pair, would run around maybe $40. And can you hear a difference? Well, I can't. And I wanted to in order to justify the money I spent on the new old stock. I did notice a difference when I replaced my JJ tubes in my phono stage with the Mullard reissues. The soundstage blossomed. And the Mullard KT88s, those smoothed out the sound when compared to the PS Vane KT88s that came with the amp. Now, what I like to know is that if something happens to, say, one of my 12AX7 Mullards, either the old or the new reissues, I can replace them with a much cheaper reissue and not blink an eye at the cost. Now, does this mean I'll never buy a new old stock tube again? Well, I definitely will for the right price, but I'm no longer averse to reissues like I used to be. I will say, even the reissues are a little difficult to get depending on the tube due to the state of the world right now. The Genelex Gold Lions, even the reissues, are a bit more expensive than they were just, say, a couple of years ago before the war, and supplies are dwindling. Now, I'm a fan of Mullards and will most likely continue to use exclusively those. But tube rolling is fun. You can completely change the sound of your setup for less than $100 if you give the new production tubes a chance. I did, and I was nervous about them after everything I'd heard, but I'm happy about it. I'm happy I took the chance, and my wallet is definitely happy about it. Now, I know I've just opened myself up to probably a lot of criticism here, but I also want to hear your thoughts and your experience with tube rolling. Have you compared new old stock to the new production tubes that are out there? And if so, what differences did you hear, if you heard any? You can let me know in the comments, or you can also get in touch with me at joyofvinyl.com. I'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to subscribe to the show. So thank you for watching as always. And until next time, please take care of yourself and enjoy your records.